Are you ready for it? The blue ceiling is ready. Here we go. We are finally at the point where we're getting our new ceiling up. It's all painted. Face here, because we've still got a week left of Christmas holidays. You're going to help me at that end, aren't you? Because these are all a little bit wobbly, so they're a bit thinner, and these are 3.6 metre bays that we're doing. So I'm going to pass it up, you're going to hold it up, and then I'll get my end in, we'll tap it in. Sounds like a plan, Stan. See this little slot in here? That needs to push over the tongue, which is that sticky out bit up there. Now see if you can just push it up and in. It should slot on. Right, we traded in door to one for the next tall model. Right, I've been abandoned for a little while. I think Joe's coming back to give me a hand. It definitely needs two people with these boards. They're just a bit lightweight. You can't hook in one and work on the other end like I have been on the ceilings in the bedrooms. We've decided, because I'm going to have to put a bit of staging up to carry on any higher and possibly even have a second person to help who doesn't mind wobbly ladders, we're going to move on to this side, and I've started with a stop block to cut those to length. The idea being that we obviously want everything to line up all the way through the ceiling, but we have got those beams that are going to be going in every 1.8 metres, which is going to break everything up and also cover our join.
What are you doing, Mummy?
Well, great question, Eden. Today I am varnishing the underside of the blue ceiling. Do you know why?
No.
Because we're trying to avoid, normally if you're painting, if you're putting wood up, you'd paint both sides to avoid it from cupping and bending, I guess is a better way of describing it. But we thought a bit of a cheaper way to do that would be to apply varnish, because obviously we probably wouldn't do this in blue because that would be much more expensive. So if we were going to do it in paint, we'd have done white, and that might have shown through. Working well so far. So I'm putting some masking tape on here because we're putting the blue paint side down on there. We don't want that to get scratched or whatever, so we're just putting a bit of masking tape over.
Right, a little bit of info on how I'm getting these boards up. You will have noticed I've taken the decision to use the nailer. It's a little 18 gauge brad nailer, and it's doing the job just fine. I've also got wide enough battens that I could put a couple in. So every now and then you might just catch a little glimpse of one. But other than that, apart from the bits of dust from where they've been sat on the racks, there's really nothing showing. Now I'll show you how we did the bedroom in another video, because that's a different cladding and a different nailer. However, the other option for this type of cladding, this thin stuff, is to use cladding clips. So this is a cladding clip, and as you can see they're pretty low profile. The board then slides in, and the lower part of your groove will sit over that, and then the next board slots in, and so it's pulling it down at that point. Now the problem I have is that these are not your standard really brittle ones you can get from the DIY store. Sometimes if you go into Wickes or B&Q, you'll find you can get these at, I think they're about 8mm or maybe even less. They're very thin and they're really likely to split and cup, and they're a nightmare to nail. So you definitely want to use these in that instance. The problem is these only have a 2mm spacing on the clip. What that means is the lower part of your cladding of the groove needs to be only 2mm, and you can see ours is about 2.5, 3. So there's no way that you can even force these in. I've tried, I've bent it up and it just wouldn't be right, and you'd end up with a kind of a humped section every time on each batten. So that is the reason why I haven't gone for these, and I will need to send them back. If I flip this board over, the top section of our groove, you can see how thin and delicate that is, but that is probably the right size. Obviously we wouldn't be nailing it this way, but just to give you an idea of how these work, that would sit in, and then your next board would sit over that and hook in. The good thing about these is they make sure you've got maximum flexibility for these boards to expand and contract. I'm not too worried about them contracting and expanding this way. I don't think that that's going to happen too much. These are nice dry boards, and we're in a fairly controlled, stable environment here, but this cupping is what will probably happen, and you'll just end up with a little bit more of a variation in your ceiling. Right, back to the ceiling. Some of them just go on absolutely beautifully. Right, I had a bit of a day off yesterday. I was photographing a friend's wedding, but before I left I managed to get about a quarter. Joe was doing some cuts down here and we rattled through that side. We've still got to paint more wood. We've got 3 more packs of the tongue and groove boards that arrived. These ones here, which are the slightly thinner that we're using in the lounge, and then these are the thicker ones we're using in the bedroom, but that'll be in a separate video. As for these, obviously the last time round we had everything set up to spray. I might do that inside. If it's nice enough, I might do it outside. We've got to the point where we finally got around the end of this stud work, and then that means we now need to continue back to full length. The problem being we are a little bit off. There was no way we could do it any other way apart from just measuring down and marking onto our battens. It's not as if we could have come up, run this one in and then work back down, because we're secret nailing into the tongue, so it wouldn't have been possible. So we measured down, worked back up, and we are probably 4 mil short. So these last 2 boards I'm just kind of opening up a little bit, so there's a little bit more of the tongue exposed, but hopefully not enough to notice. So close to finishing our blue ceilings. which have they taken too long? They've been all right. You know, it's just been bit by bit.
Yeah.
We have our last 2 sections either side. We were almost. Would you say we're almost perfect on with the boards? We've got a tiny bit of trim we're going to need to put up just where it meets the glulam beam. It would have been almost impossible to get it to finish on a full board because you need to take it up to the ridge to then slot back down. So we had to just take the tongue off that one. We'll probably have to do the same here. These 2 are now cut to length. Nailer's all charged.
Just
Let's go.
Yay!
Last one. That one's a bit of a bigger gap, but we just had to rip kind of 10mm off it. And then once it's in, as high as it can be, then we were just using the chisel to pry back down and push it down in. So I think by the time the trim's on there and the beams are in, we're good.
Job's a good one.
Are you ready for it? The blue ceiling is ready. Here we go.
Woo!
It's blue. It's blue.
It's dark. It's cabin.
And it's the first colour. We didn't change the colour in the end. Plymouth blue. Apparently it's a Range Rover colour from the first generation of Range Rovers.
I didn't know that. It's nice. We love it, don't we?
Yeah.
We just now
it's really
need to decide
dusty
what we're doing
because
with this wall.
we need to mop the ceiling to dust it now. But not on a regular basis, just because they were getting dust on them as we were fitting them. It's good.
We're really pleased, aren't we?
We are. And there's more above you. And remember, we've got one more up there. We've got a beam everywhere you see a light. There'll be a beam running from the ridge down to the eaves, and also above the breakfast bar here, where this coil of cable is.
Yeah. But
So that's going to break it up.
Don't be alarmed. Those things won't happen until we moved in.
Yeah, they will. So if you haven't checked out the other video where we were using the thicker cladding, that we will leave at the end of this one, and you can go and watch. This one we were able to use a 16 gauge nailer. It's a little bit thicker, but apart from that, similar sort of process and just a different appearance, I guess.
And what's our next video going to be?
Next video, well,
Flooring.
flooring. Joe's been busy. He's done 3 bedrooms.
Yeah.
now.
Fitting the kitchen.
Kitchen we're just about to start. We've got that wall to do, but there's still some prep work to do on the timbers. Patio door shenanigans, that's a video for another time once I finish crying my eyes out. Right, well, let us know what you think. Supposedly coloured dramatic ceilings are in, so we accidentally seem to have followed a trend.
Well, no, not accidentally. I did think that they could be, and I just thought it'd be nice to be bold.
Well, Joe's on trend, and I was just trying different things. Anyway, we'll leave it there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed, because plenty more videos coming. And let us know what you think of the blue ceiling.
Remember, if you can, do it yourself.
And we'll see you next time.